Imagine this. You're about to run sound for a world-famous comedian in a packed venue. 2,000 people are ready for the show. But then the comedian's tour manager storms in, looks you dead in the eye, and says, "We won't use your crappy mics. We got our own system." What he pulled out was so pathetic, it couldn't have filled the first 2 rows. And when he tried to humiliate me in front of my staff, I made sure he never forgot it. In fact, it may have cost him his job. If you've ever had someone talk down to you, underestimate your skills, or try to throw their weight around, this story is for you. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and get ready, because you're about to hear one of the most satisfying acts of petty revenge you'll ever come across. I'd been working as a senior technician at a large entertainment venue for years. We're talking a 2,000-capacity standing room, professional-grade lighting rigs, pristine sound systems. The works. I took pride in making shows run flawlessly. But the day a famous comedian, let's just call him Dave, rolled into town, things were different. Not because of Dave, but because of his tour manager. The guy strutted in like he owned the place. You know the type. Expensive shoes, fake confidence dripping from every step. The smug kind of smirk that says, "I know better than you, peasant." Before I could even introduce myself, he sneered, "Dave won't use any of your crappy mics. He tours with his own sound system." I raised an eyebrow. "Okay, sure. When's it arriving?" With the most condescending tone imaginable, he patted his bag and said, "I've got it with me." Then he pulled it out, a suitcase-sized speaker system. I nearly laughed. This toy couldn't fill a coffee shop, let alone a 2,000-person venue. My stomach tightened. This wasn't just incompetence. It was going to sabotage the entire show. And if the audience complained, who do you think they'd blame? Not him. Me. So I offered compromise. "No problem. I'll give you a tie line. That way, your system can run through our speakers. You'll have full control. I won't even touch the desk." But he wasn't listening. He crossed his arms and spat out, "Not acceptable. Dave will only use our system and mic." What followed was 15 excruciating minutes of back and forth. I explained the science. I explained the acoustics. I explained that 2,000 screaming fans would never hear a word Dave said. But he wasn't hearing me. He puffed up his chest, leaned in close, and hissed, "You clearly don't know what you're doing. I don't even know why you're employed here." The insult burned. My fists clenched behind my back. Every part of me wanted to tell him exactly where to shove that little speaker system. But I kept calm. Finally, I snapped, not in anger, but in resolve. "All right, if that's how you want it, I'll call my manager. I'll go home for the night, get paid anyway, and let you explain to 2,000 people why the show's canceled." The blood drained from his face. He stammered, backpedaled, and finally caved. We set up the show properly, with his little toy plugged through my professional system. But I wasn't done, because the way he had insulted me, the way he strutted around backstage like he was a genius savior of comedy, that had lit a fire inside me. This man needed to be humbled. Showtime arrived. The venue was packed, the air buzzing with anticipation. The lights dimmed, the crowd roared, and Dave strutted onto stage. Meanwhile, the tour manager had parked himself right at the side of the stage with his special little sound desk. From there, he was mixing Dave's mic. Here's the catch. From that position, he couldn't even hear how it sounded for the audience. But he sure wanted to be seen doing something important. My lighting op and I exchanged a glance. The plan formed instantly, wordlessly. The first few minutes went fine. Then it began. The tour manager stepped away from his desk to check the sound. The moment he did, screech, a faint but unmistakable microphone feedback pierced the air. He froze, panicked, and sprinted back to his desk. Just as he grabbed the controls, silence, the feedback vanished. He fiddled with knobs, clearly confused, but everything looked fine. Relieved, he stepped away again. Screech, the feedback returned. Dave's head whipped around mid-joke, glaring at his tour manager. The audience chuckled nervously, unsure if it was part of the act. The manager ran back again. Once more, the moment he touched the desk, the problem disappeared. What he didn't know was that every time he stepped away, I delicately nudged up the high frequencies on my desk, just enough to trigger the squeal, and the second he returned, I pulled him back down. To him. It looked like the problem was chasing him, like he was cursed. And the best part? He had no idea I was pulling the strings. By now, Dave was furious. His jokes were being undercut, his rhythm broken. Between punchlines, he shot daggers at his manager. The tour manager's forehead glistened with sweat. He looked like a man on trial. Finally, desperate, he abandoned his post and stormed all the way to the back of the venue, into my control booth. He shoved past me, eyes darting over my perfectly balanced desk. "Have you touched your desk?" he demanded. I looked him dead in the eye, kept my voice steady, and said, "No, mate. Actually, I did once. Seemed like you were struggling with feedback, so I took a bit of the top out." His face twisted. He couldn't argue, couldn't prove otherwise. He slunk away, humiliated, but the cherry on top, as he trudged back down the aisle, halfway to the stage, screech! This time, the feedback howled aggressively. The audience winced. Dave stopped mid-joke and glared with such fury. The tour manager broke into a desperate jog, running 50 feet, like a child sprinting home after dark. The crowd noticed. Dave noticed. Everyone noticed. And in that moment, I knew my revenge was complete. By the end of the night, the tour manager looked like he'd been dragged through hell. On his way out, I overheard Dave chewing him out, calling him incompetent, berating him for ruining the set. I said nothing, just packed my gear, smiling quietly to myself. And here's the kicker. Years later, I ran into Dave at another gig. Turns out, he was actually a decent guy when his manager wasn't around. I casually brought up that old show. He shook his head and said, "Yeah, that was one of the last times I ever used that manager. He was a disaster." And I thought to myself, good, he got exactly what he deserved. The beauty of it wasn't just that I embarrassed him. It's that I made him look like a fool on the one night he needed to look competent the most, in front of his star client, in front of 2,000 fans. His arrogance, his insults, his refusal to listen, they all came crashing down on him. And the best part? He never knew I orchestrated it. It wasn't just revenge. It was justice. Some people think arrogance makes them powerful, but really it just paints a target on their back. The moment you start disrespecting the people who actually know what they're doing, karma has a funny way of finding you. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and drop a comment. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, make sure to subscribe for more stories just like this one. Because trust me, the best revenge stories are still to come.